Настя Каменских,
Сеньор Потап.
тру-ла-ла, сейчас вам будет тут. Ты красиво улыбалась.
Выходила из лимона.
Welcome to In the Crease with Ztending, presented by Goalies Matter Clothing. I'm your host, John Zdunkiewicz, and this is my co-host, Loutrel. How are you doing, buddy?
I'm just great. How are you?
Oh, great. My squirt team, 2 wins this weekend, so really happy. Rolled through, got the points, and it was awesome.
Nice. It's always good to get a win.
How are your Wolves doing?
EHL has 2 wins on the weekend. Beat the Avalanche, and they just game just finished, but they just beat the Vermont, well, I guess Lumberjacks Hockey Club is what they're called now that they relocated for the season. But
Okay, yeah.
2 wins for them on the weekend, and we've got EHLP team is lost yesterday, and they're losing right now. So
did
little
the
rough for
Vermont
them.
Lumberjacks, did they relocate to New Hampshire?
Yeah, they
makes
just for the
sense.
season they relocated to
So that way
Waterville
stay
Valley.
in state lines.
Yep. So now instead of there being, especially for the EHL, only 3 teams, there's 4 teams to play against. So
Smart.
So they realigned that division as the New Hampshire division.
Yeah, it's incredibly smart. I mean, so we have a prop. I know there's only 2 U19 girls teams in New Jersey, so they can only play each other.
Oh, that's horrible.
So and they don't like each other that much either.
Oh, well, I mean, for the EHLP in New Hampshire, it was just the Wolves and the Avalanche. They were going at it for a while, just them two. And then once the Lumberjacks moved, one more team to add for that level. But,
Yeah, you're like, please give us another team to take. That jerk, that little jerk that's running around and hitting everyone, and like that other kid who's getting a stick on my goalie. It just keeps on adding up because everything, every little thing is underneath the microscope now.
Absolutely. And
I mean, it's just ready to
I can imagine what
snap.
the players are going through right now. I know it's kind of monotonous from a coaching aspect, but from the players, they're not only developing rivalries and hatred, but playing the same team over and over and over again is, I'm sure, getting a little rough on them by now.
Oh yeah. So in this episode, we have an interview with Ztender Stephen Glick. He played in-house tier 2, and then eventually to tier 1, and played some juniors, and he's in college right now at Temple University. Really awesome. So we had LJ Newell last week. Awesome kid, well-spoken, incredibly smart. And we're following up with another kid who is just as smart. I mean, he got a full ride to Temple University.
That's awesome.
He chose between playing D3 hockey or playing club hockey with the full ride. So, I mean, he's going to be set.
You get college paid for, you kind of gotta take it.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
You don't have student loans like I do. So
yeah, exactly. I was just lucky enough this past year I paid mine off.
Oh, you're lucky. I'm still going.
Yeah.
You're years ahead of me.
So another thing we have in this episode, we have a Apex video analysis where we're talking about making saves. We're also, last week, talked about transitioning from our tall stance into a wide stance, and in between that. And we show a little bit more of that again this week, but also adding in a glove and a blocker save, showing how we really want to project our gloves off our hips and forward, staying tight. And it's really nice to see that transition from tall to all the way in a butterfly and a glove save.
Absolutely, and Glick does it pretty well. I know we use him as a demoer for our glove saves and project active hands and all that stuff in camp. So he's a good person to have on there to demo this one.
Yeah, he's always been pretty good and active with really making glove saves in front of him from the get-go. So, getting him to really, get his hands more forward, he picked up on that pretty quick. And that's one of his strongest parts. I remember, it's so funny, as you as you see kids progress, and they're younger, and you just snipe them, pick them apart left and right, dang on left and right, and then as the kids get older and better, and even my shot, and like I'm just putting everything into it, and he's just like, well, no, sorry, that's not a Glick save. A Glick save would be this, and then the big windmill.
The big windmill after.
All right, well, with further ado, let's get to this Glick interview. Joining us, we have a Ztender that was captain of his high school varsity team, graduated with a 4.2 GPA, received a full ride to Temple University, where he currently has a 3.85 GPA, not a big deal.
No big deal.
He is a hip-hop aficionado, chess master, and skates like a duck. My boy, Steve Glick. How are you doing, buddy?
Great. Thanks for having me. Great introduction from you. I appreciate it.
Thanks, bud. Listen, you started with me from the very beginning when you started playing hockey. Take us through your playing career.
Yeah, so I started playing hockey when I was about 10 years old, so I was a bit late to the start. So I played a year of in-house, and then in Pee-wees, I played 2 years of Pee-wee A. And then for Bantams, for U14, I switched and started playing AAA for the Philadelphia Revolution. I played for their U14 AAA team 2 years, 2 years at their U16 AAA team. And then after that, I moved up to their junior B EHLP team. And that was my senior year. So after that, I kind of had a decision, do I go play for their EHL team or do I go off to college? And I decided to go to college, and, I got accepted to Temple with a lot of scholarship money, as you said. So it was kind of a no-brainer, and they have a club team. So I tried out and I've made it, and I've played there ever since.
It's pretty neat. Our interview we had last week, LJ Newell, very smart kid, and then we're following up with you as well. Also incredibly smart. And I mentioned the funny thing in intro in chess master. I think we played probably 40 or 50 games so far, and I haven't beat you once. I don't think I've come close. I've had a couple opportunities that that were okay, but nowhere ever have I ever controlled a game against you whatsoever. I think you've had full control at every chess game we've ever had.
I mean, I just always played it, and I have the strategy set down.
So going with your I'm going to talk a little bit more in depth about your playing career. There was one point where early on when you were working on with me, you were a squirt. You played AA, and the next year, you played A, I believe, and you were trying to move up to the AA team and got cut, and then ended up going to AAA and made Tier 1. Take me through that whole entire situation.
Yeah, I mean, obviously it's pretty rough to, have something like that happen. I mean, you played A for 2 years, and, you're working hard, day in, day out, and you're hoping to play for that AA team the next year, and it just doesn't happen, which is, disheartening. But basically I was like, well, I could either mope around and get nothing done, or I can keep working. And I did, and I ended up getting a tryout with them, and I did very well, and I made a team. So, whenever you have a obstacle like that or a setback, you can do one of two things, and it's your choice. Do you just complain, or do you do something about it?
I love the fact that, it didn't, I've got cut from teams. Everybody gets cut from teams. It's kind of part of, youth sports. And like you said, you can either deal with it one or two ways. You can let it control you. You can let it take over, your mind and your life, or you can move on with it and accept it as part of your journey and a learning experience, which is super huge because there's going to be, there's always mountains and valleys in our playing career for sure. But, getting cut from a team, it's a special jab at you, and it really hits your psyche where you're like, wait. And you kind of think like, maybe I'm not good enough. And you kind of second guess yourself. And then that could, that is a huge, huge wall that you hit. And then you have to, muster through it and just run right through it as best as you can. So moving on to college. Okay. let's talk about that process too, of you picking a college and that choice. I mean, there's many different big decisions we have to do in our playing career. Moving from youth hockey up to college, and then even after college, after that, there is, there's some big decisions, and sometimes it's moving from one club to another that kind of seem big, but really are not. And a lot of times, our youth hockey culture right now, everybody jumps teams left and right. But major decision of picking a college is probably one of the scariest decisions you can make. And it feels like it's a very heavy decision. And you can think of every different scenario possible. And you can just hope that it's right. It's one thing picking the right youth team, but picking the right college. So tell me about that process that you went through, and what were the different scenarios and that you had played out?
Yeah, so I had a pretty unique, I want to say, thought process of how I ended up at Temple. So like I said, my senior year of high school, I was playing for the Revolution with the HLP team. And basically my plan, like from the start, was to play that year out and then take a gap year too and play for the HL team and hopefully get a Division III scholarship at some school. And like that was my goal for a very long time. At some point I realized, maybe Division I NCAA is a little bit far of a reach. So I'm like, D3 is my goal. And that was my goal for a very long time. But then one day, my senior year, it was sometime in the winter, and it was pretty late into like the college application process. I woke up and had like a really deep like thinking about my future with myself. And I realized that, maybe D3 hockey wasn't for me. I did a little bit of research. A lot of the schools I would have had a chance of going to, they didn't have a major I wanted. And I was starting to have second thoughts about taking those gap years and trying to go for D3. So I kind of scrambled to try and apply to as many normal colleges as I could. And like, being honest, throughout that process, I was getting ready, just like, I was totally content with just going to school and not playing hockey or just playing men's league. But Temple was one of the schools I applied to, and all the puzzle pieces just fell like in place. It's a great school. It's pretty close to home, but it's not like in my backyard. I still get that college experience. It's a great business school, especially for the program I'm going for.
What is your major?
Yeah, so I'm risk management insurance, and Temple is actually top 3 in the country for that field, so not a big deal. Yeah, and on top of that, they had a club team. So between all the colleges I got accepted, and on top of that, all the scholarship money that I got from them, it was a no-brainer. And I ended up at Temple. My roommate was my teammate for like 3 to 4 years beforehand, so everything was literally perfect, and it was a no-brainer for me to end up at Temple.
So who is your roommate?
Shout out to Logan Hurwitz. Absolute
Awesome.
beauty.
So that's awesome. I love. What do you want to do with your major? What are you looking to do in the future?
Yeah, so I'm still pretty open about what I want to do, but with the degree, there isn't really that much choice other than to go into the insurance field. But so far, I've liked my classes. I've liked the people I've talked to who are in the field. So I'm just pretty open-minded and just trying to go with the flow.
I love it. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about Temple University. You are in the ACHA. What division are you guys in?
Division I.
Not a big deal. So, and what do you, before we get into that, what do you think are the differences between your D1 ACHA and maybe a D3 NCAA team?
Let me jut in there real quick. Let's just have a shout out to Liberty University. ACHA D1 beat a NCAA D1 school a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, Long Island.
Yeah.
That was certainly a big deal in the ACHA community when that happened. All the boys loved it.
Yeah. I know you're Glick, you are part of and we'll get to this now before we get into the differences between ACHA D1 and NCAA D3, but you are part of another podcast called the Hockey House Pod. And it's all about the ACHA, which I actually, I had one season in ACHA for Rider University after I played D1, NCAA, and we were D2. I mean, they still are D2 at the time. I had a lot of fun playing ACHA, and you guys talk about your. I love this question, and we have a little bit different question for our pod. But you guys talk about your ACHA moment, and it's really funny because the different leagues you play in between, like, you know, juniors and whatnot, there is a moment where you're like, okay, this is not exactly what I thought it was going to be. And this is your moment where you realize, oh, okay, this is the league I am. And you kind of really kind of observe everything and take it in and realize, okay, what I thought was what it was going to be, it's a little bit different. What was, you know, take me through not just your ACHA, but maybe even in your youth hockey experience, kind of were like, you know, because you have a grand gesture, what you think everything is going to be. And then you're kind of like, taken back a second, okay, this is what we're really open to right now. So give me maybe like one or two experiences that you kind of were like, okay, a little realization.
Wait, like, what do you mean by that?
So basically, let's start with your ACHA moment where you're kind of like, okay, this is the moment. We're in an ACHA, and I figure out, because, you know, it's so the 1 year, my moment, one of them too is I know on your pod you guys talked about playing at Chelsea Piers, and, you know, coaches giving a pregame skate or speech right next to people who are you know, just in your face, like ready for, you know, just done free skate, you know, a public skate, and there's so many people there, and you're just in a lobby. There's no real locker room, so it's definitely a weird experience, and I definitely was able to experience that. So what was your you know, we'll start with your ACHA moment.
Yeah, so actually, funny enough, I thought of this story about 5 minutes after we recorded the first episode, so I totally forgot to even say it. But my first start was down at Townsend University. It was an away game, and they had some sort of alumni charity game beforehand. And, you know, they were drinking a little bit during the game and whatever. And then the game ended and they got undressed and they brought all their beers up to the stands right behind me. And they basically heckled me the entire game, just a bunch of drunk former college club hockey players. And this was my first start. I was nervous. They're in our division, so it was a big divisional game. But it was just hilarious to just play in a game like that, because I never experienced that before, you know. Like in high school, like you would get heckled by, you know, kids your age and stuff like that. And the juniors I played, it was just pretty much parents. So it was really weird to you know, be heckled by adults. And so that was almost my like, yeah, this is what college hockey is like in club.
That's funny. I actually know a couple Towson alum, and I might know one or two of those people that were heckling you that I played men's league up here with. So let's take it back another second here. Take it back to high school. You played for Neshaminy High School. I played for Pennsbury. You know, they're two rivals, and you guys played in this. This is a long time history. These two teams play every Thanksgiving, and it's a battle. It's definitely a ton of fun. I don't remember how many I won out of those four, but how many did you win? How many did you play in, and how many did you win?
Oh, that's pretty easy for me to remember because I played in four and I won all four. So, you know, sorry.
That's because you're younger and I wasn't the Pennsbury goalie at the time.
But honestly, it was just such a great experience every year. I mean, like that was just the game that everyone on the team had circled on the calendar. Neshaminy and Pennsbury, it's a rivalry that went back, you know, decades. Like our coaches remember playing in this rivalry, and all that. And that's the game where they really packed the stands. And our teams were always super close. Like, I think we would win by 1 or 2 goals. There was never a blowout win. So it was always a lot of fun. And then senior year was extra special because they dedicated that Thanksgiving game to Pat Gannon, and they call it the Gannon Cup now. He was a Neshaminy middle schooler, and he passed away. So as a way to remember him, both the schools decided to create the Gannon Cup for the Thanksgiving game as a way to, to remember him by.
And it's a very sad event, but it's also rightfully so that Neshaminy and Pennsbury hold that cup dear to them, because the Gannon family has ties to both Neshaminy and Pennsbury, because Pat's uncle was an assistant coach at Pennsbury High School for many years, and was my assistant coach at Pennsbury when I was there, and I graduated in 2001. So we're dating ourselves a little bit there. So, all right, I want to get you into the hot seat right now. I'm going to fire some questions off at you. Okay. They're going to go pretty quick. So let's give quick answers before we get to the end of this here. All right. You ready to go?
Yep.
All right. We'll start nice and easy. We're going to go quick here. Favorite color?
Orange.
Favorite food?
Pizza.
Favorite pregame meal?
Definitely chicken parm.
And favorite place to eat at?
Ooh, just regular American diner. That's the world's best chicken parm. Just any local diner, and I'm standing by that. You can go to any fancy Italian restaurant, it will never compete with that local diner.
I agree 100%. And we are so lucky in the PA, New Jersey area. We have tons and tons of diners, and it's nothing like it anywhere else in the world. All right, going to college here. What's your favorite part of Temple's campus?
Definitely Alter Hall. That's where that's where the business school is, and it was recently renovated. It's absolutely gorgeous inside.
What's the best part about it?
I mean, it's just so brand new. So there's 2 parts of the building, and they're connected by a glass walkway, just completely encompassed in glass. There's you know how on the New York Stock Exchange there's the ticker symbols that go around the whole outside? We have that. It's 10 stories. I mean, I would give anything to take my 200-person marketing class in there then instead of Zoom right now.
Well, I'm sure you're going to have many opportunities in the next coming years of college to get classes there. So, okay, let's continue on. All right. What are you currently listening to, and what platform are you listening on?
I'm a Spotify guy, and I mean, I'm all over the place, but recently I've been listening to a lot of Russian music, trying to, go back to my heritage, trying to embrace it,
Okay.
Russian music. What is Russian music?
Just music made by Russian people.
Perfect answer.
All right. So what are you currently watching on Netflix or whatever?
I've been absolutely addicted to binging Criminal Minds. It's such a good show. I absolutely love it.
So how many times have you watched? Are you current up to date?
I think I'm on season 14 out of 15, so I'm getting there.
Okay. And once you finish it, are you planning on watching it over?
No, there's 20 episodes a season. Each episode's 40 minutes, 15 seasons. There's no way I can rewatch it.
Yeah, it's a lot of work.
Commitment.
Yeah,
It's
I've been watching since senior year of high school, and I'm a sophomore now. It's ridiculous.
All right, who has a better windmill, you or Curtis Hart?
Definitely Curtis. I mean, I've kind of fallen off on the windmill train, and he's the I felt like I was the mentee and he was the mentor. He taught me everything I know.
All right, so one of our main questions that we have here. So we call all our goalies, we call them Ztenders. It's a big thing about Ztending and creating a sense of identity and a culture and a community. So now that you were in college, you've been helping out a lot and coaching. And you get to spend a lot of time, just kind of have conversations and make the kids feel comfortable. What is one piece of advice that you would want to spread to, young Z-tenders, throughout the world?
I probably want to say two things. Number one, especially as like when you're younger, don't really worry about what team you play for. It doesn't matter whether you're playing in-house, AA, AAA. Like, who cares if your team name ends in an extra A, especially when you're young? I mean, like, I know kids who play AAA hockey since they were 9, 10, and now have absolutely nothing to show for it. And then I know other guys who just played basic AA hockey and are now playing NCAA. So especially early on, it's not as much. There's not so much importance on where you play, but just it's all about your work ethic and wanting to get better. Like a lot of these kids who play AAA since they're 10, they just get burned out and they lose the love of the game. I mean, my favorite seasons were when I was playing in house a hockey. Because AAA, like, it's a lot of stress. It takes a lot out of you. So, I wouldn't really pressure kids to moving up too quickly.
I love that. It's super important advice. And, everybody wants that label, that AAA label, and it makes them feel cozy and makes them feel warm and fuzzy inside. But at the end of the day, it's more of a comfort thing. And then really it's not, are you putting your kid in the right position to evolve, and get better as a player, or are you just going to put them in AAA and have them ride the pine half the time, or also might have, and a lot of times that tier 1 hockey has too much of a win-based attitude and not a development attitude, which is super important in youth hockey. And it's the main reason all the way up to midgets. You have to have a development base, and if it's not that way, you're really going to suffer mentally more than anything. You're going to hurt the kids more mentally, and they're not going to get, they're not going to be able to be in a right mindset to develop physically.
Yeah, I completely agree with all that.
Lou, do you got anything for Glick?
No, I want him to send me some Russian music though, so I know what he's talking about.
I'll send you a link to the Spotify playlist I have.
Awesome.
All right, yeah, that's definitely gonna have to. You'll have to pick up the song that starts our episode then.
All right, I'll do it.
Too funny. Listen, it's been a pleasure. I've worked with you since you started and continue on, and you're now giving back and helping coach with the little kids, and you're doing a great job of that. Really appreciate you coming on. This was an awesome interview, and dude, I can't wait to be able to actually see you play. I'll probably be reffing some of your games, just so I can get a little bit up close and personal look, and be there. But dude, good luck. Thanks for the interview. It's always a pleasure.
Yep. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Glick.
All right, that was our Z-tender, Steve Glick. I think, Lou, what you think of Russian music is a lot different than what he's actually listening to.
I'm pretty sure, because what I have in my mind is if you watch watch Miracle and they're doing the Russian music in the background of that, that's what I'm thinking of. Like organs and stuff like that. And,
No.
maybe the Russian 5 documentary, like stuff. It's Russian music like that. But I
like
the
think
guys Glick's a little into
dancing, kicking his feet up in the air.
Yeah, I know that's probably bad to say, but I'm sure Glick's up on some popular music in Russia, and he can enlighten me a little bit.
I'm sure.
Glick, send me some Russian music.
Yeah, I guarantee you it's Russian hip hop. I guarantee.
Probably is, but I'm always interested in that. I've heard some Polish music when I was overseas with the army, and it was like a heavy metal type stuff. So
I bet.
I'm all for trying to listen to it, but you got to send it to me, Glick. Send me some stuff.
So we have a Z-tending coach, Sigurd Walla, who's from Norway, and he sent us this song. I forget what the name of it is, but it throws you off. The first time you hear it, all of a sudden it's like this female opera singer, and she's hitting some high notes, and she's got this great little melody, and all of a sudden, like the beat kicks in, and it goes right straight into hip hop, to Norwegian hip hop, and
That's cool.
it was actually really good. I have no idea what he's saying, but it's really good. And he kind of said it's kind of like a little bit of a joke, and in Norway, but I was like, I don't care, man. I like this.
Yeah, if it's got a sick beat to it, why not?
Exactly. So hey, right now we are recording on Sunday. We will debut this episode on Tuesday at the latest. But we are watching the Flyers game. Flyers are down 2-1 to the Capitals. Flyers are getting an odd man rush here.
Yeah.
There it is. Now it's 2-2.
Yep. Nice dead angle goal right there, Scott Lawton.
I like Scotty Lawton.
He's a good little player. I like
the
him.
guy plays hard.
He
You know,
does.
and I love players who, you know, are not afraid to get gritty, not afraid to get their, you know, their hands dirty, and just, you know what to expect out of them. You know that they're going to bring everything every game.
Absolutely.
And he, you know, he's been known to make some pretty bad mistakes, but, you know, high risk, high reward type deal.
Yeah, and he stayed with the play right there. Washington, you know, got the puck from him, but he stayed with the play. Philly got it back, started driving towards the net. Nice dead angle goal.
Yeah, that was a tough play. Capitals goalie. Oh, he likes to Vanacek, I believe it is.
I think so. I can't tell who it is.
Yeah, so
I
he
wasn't paying
likes to extend his pad to a lot, which kind of scares me a little bit, and it's but it's more of a drop down, extend, and then transition move right away, and it's like a whole sequence that it kind of does for like every low save.
Yeah.
So hey, let's get into one thing, speaking about technique of saves. So for this week's Apex analysis, we talk about we go back to what we talked about last week in transitioning from a tall to low stance, but we add in some glove and blocker saves, and just showing you how much important it is to make sure that you're projecting your gloves forward from off of your hips and not going to the side. A lot of times, we don't really understand that when we're making a glove save and turning our head to the side, that that last little portion of the traveling of the puck to our glove is a little bit blurred, because we're moving our eyes at the same time of trying to track something that is also moving. When we want to lean into it, get our eyes behind our glove and blocker, so that way we're seeing everything head on and having the best possible vision. So let's get to this. Oh man, bummer. Capitals just scored. On a lighter note,
Ovechkin again.
Yeah, Ovechkin's the killer. All right, this is our Apex video analysis. All right, guys, here's our Apex video analysis. We're going to take a look at Ztending Steve Glick here. Last week, we talked about transitioning into different stances. We're going to further on with that today. We see Steve's in a tall stance. Gloves are close to symmetrical. We want to make sure that we're getting those hands as symmetrical as possible, bring them together. One thing that we noticed, we talked about this last week, is as we sit down into that stance, we're not getting too wide. We're keeping narrow feet. And then we see a transition from a narrow to wide stance. Again, we talked about this last week. This is a little bit too low, knees coming in, and a little bit too wide. So what we want to do here is make sure that we're not getting too wide where we can't make movements, okay? But for today, let's take a look at when we make a glove save. As we drop down, notice how he drives the shoulder to the glove side, bringing his eyes behind the glove, and then projecting that glove, and this is the most important part, is projecting that glove forward to the puck, okay? We want to be making glove sides to our side, dropping down and leaning into it. So not only are we leaning our shoulder into it, but we're also leaning our hip into it as well. And very important to note that when making the glove save that the blocker stays up, keeping the glove in position. Any key notes here on this, Coach Lou?
No, just staying with the points you were talking about. If we're making glove saves back too far, our eyes aren't following and tracking the puck all the way into the glove as well. So while Glick's leaning into this shot right here, those eyes are tracking that puck from the shot release all the way into the pocket of his glove right there.
Yeah, very important note here. So let's take a look at this one here. So now we'll take a look at the blocker side again, starting with the tall stance, transitioning into a movement-ready stance, shot-ready stance. And here is the tough part, again, about making saves. A lot of glove saves. A lot of times we reach our hand out to the side, which then in return opens up this 6-7 hole. When we make sure that we're projecting our gloves forward, we want to make sure that our gloves are coming off our hips. So that way we're keeping everything tight here and making them beat us wide or outside perimeter. As you can see, this camera angle is not from the ice. So if the puck was looking at, there would be nothing here, nothing up top. And even from here, you can see that he's covering pretty much everything down low as well. So super important here. As we make saves, make sure that our gloves are coming off of our hips and forward projected to the puck, not to the side. Don't get ahead of yourself and try and forcefully put the puck in the corner. We want to guide pucks to the corner and make it easy.
Absolutely. And another thing to point out too is Glick's subtle wrist movement too on the blocker save. He's not completely rolling his wrist down. He's just using that pinky, kind of squeezing that pinky to roll that blocker over and direct the puck where he wants it to go.
And that's a great point too, because when we roll the knuckles down, okay, instead of rotating our wrist out, what happens is a lot of goalies will rotate the wrist out this way. That brings the stick out of position. And a lot of times we end up making saves from the inside of a blocker. We want to make sure that we roll our knuckles down, and that's going to keep the stick in the middle. So that way, all we have to do to recover back into our stance is roll your knuckles back up, and then the stick is square. And that's our Apex video analysis. Again, want to iterate how much it is important to get your eyes behind the puck instead of moving your head. And the other thing, well, the other main point too is when we move into the shot and we get our whole body into it, we have something backing up our gloves. So just like when we make it, Flyers just scored. When we make when we make a stick save, we drop down in the butterfly and put our pad behind our stick. So that way we have a backup just in case it hits a little something in the ice or it gets deflected. Who knows? Great screen right there. So, you know, you always have a backup. And when we go to make those glove saves and I project my glove forward and my body's behind it, if I'm a little bit off, or if there is a deflection, I'm putting my body behind it. So that way I'm covering way more net. So that's so important that we got to make sure that we have that backup plan. So how are your clinics and lessons going on? How are they doing in New Hampshire?
Pretty good. We're still working with the Lakers youth hockey organization and some of the goalies. Shout out to those guys. They're doing great. We got some newer, younger ones for this year, which is awesome.
I just actually right before my squirt team played today, we have some new mite half ice goalies, and they played right before my game this morning. So I was able to kind of watch them a little bit, and I talked to them after the game. I saw the kids shuffles were the kid was shuffling, and they looked beautiful. He was staying with the play. I'm like, yeah, and he was staying low in his stance. I loved it. But typical mite player. A goalie, he was on the goal line the whole time pretty much. His crease wasn't this big. His crease was more right here.
Oh, yeah.
barely came a foot off the goal
Yeah.
line. But like he did have his own little arc. It just wasn't big enough.
That's good. The Lakers goalies are working with the Wolves goalies. They're we're refining some of their points as we're getting closer to playoffs here. So shout out to Jeffrey Joyce, Lakers squirt goalie. He's been having a great year for them, playing really, really well. He's a Ztender since we started up in New Hampshire. So he's gonna be good to see this year coming up at summer camp. He's improved a lot.
Yeah, he was at our summer camp, again this past summer in Waterville Vale in New Hampshire. That's a beautiful location to have a summer camp, which we're going to be back there again this summer. And man, like the kid definitely is he knows how to battle. And it's sometimes a little bit too much. It's a little frantic and crazy, but you see that he wants the puck, and he's starting to figure out, okay, there's an easier way to do this. There's a more technical way to do this.
Yes.
So that's got to be fun to see.
Absolutely. And he's a very smart kid too. So he picks stuff up very, very quickly. And, I can't wait to see as he grows up, whether he's, I know he's going to be on Glick and LJ's intelligence level. So it's going to be great to see him as he gets older in his teenage years.
Yeah, love it. So right now, we've been back for a month now, so back in the groove of things, and it's been nice to see a little bit more consistency with the training, and it's, with that being said, and hopefully it stays this way, and we can finish out the season. I don't see it any other way. I think we're just going to go and ride out the season as is. I don't even think that we're going to have playoffs, which is kind of a bummer because I think my team would actually make the playoffs this year in my third year coaching Squirts. But it's definitely been a kind of learn by the moment and just jump right in and try to kind of figure things out as you go. But I really like this. I really like to see from my Squirt team and all these kids the resiliency that these kids have had, and being a head coach of a youth team, it's cool to see these kids. When they're on the ice, there's nothing different on the ice than any other years. Mm-hmm. There's nothing has changed for them. They're on the ice, they're in their little utopia, and they're loving life. It's just business as usual. And it's not, I shouldn't even say business as usual, because you've been to our camps and clinics, how much fun they are. Imagine having 15 9 and 10-year-olds on the ice with me. Like, we have some fun. We definitely have some fun all the time. And the kids work hard. I run a very fast-paced practice, just to make sure that we're keeping a quick pace and a game-like pace as much as we can. And
awesome. But
we have a lot of fun, and it's really neat to see the resiliency of these kids. So it's speaking of which, of that, and I would like for you to kind of talk a little bit about the mental side and what can help kids stay resilient, and maybe some things that they can do to make sure that they're keeping their brain active and healthy.
Absolutely. I mean, I think a lot of the kids, like you were saying, have developed some really good resiliency skills over the course of this year. Just from the fact that it's changed a little bit, right? So some states are getting dressed outside. There's not, especially goalies aren't having time to go through their normal pregame routine. They're not getting in the rink an hour beforehand to be able to do hand-eye and visualization and all that stuff. They've got 15 minutes and they've got to get dressed and get out on the ice for warm-ups, So it's goalies have been a little more resilient this year, being able to change their routines and finding what works for them. And along with that too is changing your pregame mental approach too, because it's completely different this year. But I think that the resiliency skills that they have developed is going to help them as years go on and they move up in levels, because they now know that they're able to adapt to things and change as things are thrown at them.
I agree with that 100%. And growing up, I'm 38 years old. Never really had to, like my grandfather was in the war, in World War II. My dad, there's the Vietnam War when he was growing up. We didn't. Besides, you were in Afghanistan. I'm fortunate enough to. I've never had to be around any of that, and have be really affected with that. Now this has affected us directly, and everyone directly, and it's the first. It's the first thing that America has been forced to go through, because in our country, we don't have to have a draft anymore because we have so many people, willing to serve for our country. And I'm thankful so much for you and everyone else who has and continues to do so. But this really forced everyone to flip the switch and get out of their comfort zone. And, it's a lot of people it has broken, but I think there's way more people that have come and are coming out of this much stronger. And it is still going on, obviously, but we are definitely going to have a little bit thicker skin, but at the same time, be able to step back and say, the universe is so big.
Oh yeah. And I think a lot of the kids and adults are going to take a look back and see, hey, look what we did over this past year, however long it's going to last. Hopefully not too much longer, but look what we were able to accomplish just by being able to change and adapt to things. So definitely a big learning thing to be able to have that resiliency and change and adapt to things.
I agree, man. Well, thank you guys all for watching In the Crease with Ztending. I'm your host, John Zdunkiewicz. Thank you to my coach, co-host and coach, Loutrel. Today, it was a great interview. Thank you to Steve Glick, longtime Ztender, Ztender forever. And then Upper Hand Apex Video Analysis. Hopefully, we will be getting this out by Tuesday. Make sure that you guys subscribe. Please hit the like button. It means a lot. Throw a comment down there if you wish. But definitely subscribe and like, guys. Hey, man, this is what a great follow-up episode. And I look forward to us talking to you next week.
Absolutely. Glick, Russian music to my phone, please. Need some.
Настя Каменских,
Сеньор Потап.
тру-ла-ла, сейчас вам будет тут. Ты красиво улыбалась.